Welcome back to the Kelly Roach Show. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can take back your time, achieve more of your most meaningful goals, and have more fun doing it. So, if you are looking to accelerate the growth of your business and you want to feel good while you become the person that your dreams require, today's episode is for you, my friends. So, what I'm going to dig into today is the difference between urgency and longevity in your business and how to balance these two paradigms to have higher levels of success, higher levels of joy, satisfaction, and most importantly, a higher likelihood of actually achieving your goals. So, what I want to talk about today is how do you decide which things need urgency versus which things need longevity? And both of these things are key tools in your business growth strategy tool belt, but most people get them all mixed up. And so we're going to talk about why that happens, and we're going to talk about how to prevent burnout in your business. So if you talk to anyone who has achieved very high levels of success in the world of entrepreneurship, they'll tell you that a huge piece of it, 99% of it, is not giving up. It's not quitting. And this is really key because if you've been in business for any period of time, you see that yes, 85% of businesses still fail. And so you've probably seen in your own industry, in your own space, that many people have come and gone. You probably see people that rise and fall, come and go. They're on the scene, they're going hard, they're everywhere. And then all of a sudden it's like, what happened to that person? And this happens all the time because when everything is urgent all the time, you burn out. Whereas when you know the distinction between something that needs urgency versus something that needs longevity, you have a slow burn. You can grow very large. You can grow very successfully and steadily over time. So let's first start off by talking about when you want to use the tool of urgency versus when you want to use the tool of longevity. You want to use the tool of urgency in everyday tactical execution. When you have things that need to be accomplished, that you know need to be accomplished, and you know you're the person that needs to accomplish them, they're both urgent and important, or they're just important but not urgent, you want to have a high sense of urgency. And the reason why urgency is so important is not only is it a definiteness of purpose and a speed with which you pursue the deliverable, the outcome that you desire, but it is the number one thing that is going to clear, cleanse, and clean your mental load. The reason why people feel so exhausted all the time, so overwhelmed, so buried in their businesses all the time is that they don't have clarity. It's like the system is clogged. There's too much going on. They're being pulled in too many different directions, and they're trying to keep too many things kind of held in the space of their mind all at once, which is impossible to do. And so your mental load is all focused on just keeping afloat instead of your mental load being spent on your long-term vision and the core things that are actually going to move you forward towards your goal. So becoming a person that has a high sense of urgency, that does something that needs to be done as soon as it needs to be done, and getting it off your plate and getting it out of your mental load is something that is going to serve you very, very well in growing your business more quickly. A lot of people spend more time planning, thinking, and stressing over things that need to get done than the thing itself actually takes to get done. And that's why they never get to their goals. So I want to challenge you today to, while you're listening to this podcast, I want you to think about what are the core things that really require a sense of urgency in your business and with your brand. And I continually like to bring us back to the fundamentals because the fundamentals are where the fortune lies. It's in the execution of the fundamentals that we become masters. The mastery level, the advanced level is the mastery of the basics. And so the fundamentals of growth are what? Growing your audience, building your email list, creating interface interaction with your prospects and buyers, making offers and having sales conversations. So it's literally growing your audience, building your email list and potentially Facebook group, having a direct interface with your market, which would be through live streams, master classes, launches, speaking, whatever you're doing to get visible to those people, and then converting them into paying customers. That's 4 things. And most people in any given day are chasing 100 things, most of which have nothing to do with anything that's going to change anything. And they don't have a sense of urgency about the things that are going to put them on the path to their ultimate goal, because they feel like that one little thing that they can have a sense of urgency around doesn't actually change anything. You going live today isn't going to give you a $10 million business. You going live every day for 3 years could give you a $10 million business, right? And so urgency is about you understanding how to clear, cleanse, and clean your mental load every single day by doing things that need to get done as soon as they need to get done. And of course, always continually evaluating what you can delegate and get off your plate completely so that it doesn't take any mental load or any time at all. Sometimes for me, I find that when something's sitting on my plate too long, it's usually because I shouldn't even be the one doing it anyway. And I have to take the step to identify who in the organization actually should be doing that thing instead of me. Okay. So I want you to really think about what things you don't think about as urgent things that actually you need to be urgent about. And how can you do those things urgently in the beginning of your day, every single day? And I call this mic time, right? Posting, getting your story up, going live, being visible, following up with your leads, right? Having a sense of urgency around the fundamentals that will drive your business forward. The people that sit and plan and think about it and stress about it, they never get anything done. Every day is Groundhog Day. They live the same day over and over again. So you need to look at what's on your plate and say, why am I not having a sense of urgency about this thing? Is it that there's a lack of a plan? Is it that there's a lack of organization? Is it that I'm procrastinating? Is it that I shouldn't be the one doing it anyway? What is the reason why I don't have urgency on when a task lands on my desk, it is immediately filed and completed and it is out of the way and done? And why is this so important? Because to be an effective CEO and to be a visionary leader, you have to have brain power. You have to have both mental energy, emotional energy, physical energy. And that means that if your mental load is being taken, stolen by tasks that you don't have a sense of urgency about completing, deleting, or delegating, then you're not going to have the energy to do the big picture things that are going to have the most and biggest impact on your goals. So knowing what the core fundamentals of growth are and having an extremely high sense of urgency about them. And those are the things that create visibility, generate leads, interface with your market, and bring them to an offer. Those 4 things: building your brand, interfacing with your market, bringing them through some type of, interaction, and then ultimately closing conversations. And if you think about stripping your business, I literally did this exercise for myself last night because I was working on the growth plan for one of my companies. And I literally mapped this out for myself. I asked myself, okay, if I was starting over from zero, what would be the only things that I would focus on to rebuild a new $1 million company from the ground up as fast as I possibly could? And what I would do is this: I would focus on growing on social media. I would focus on getting followers on my accounts. I would go live consistently. I would focus on my daily content every single day. I would then drive people from social media to 2 places: a Facebook group and my email list. And then from my Facebook group and my email list, I would bring them to masterclasses, launches, and consultations. That's it. And if I did that and only that, I could build another $1 million company in probably 6 months, right? And so I'm helping a couple of my newer companies do that right now, right? So stripping it down to having a sense of urgency about what matters and what makes sense to have urgency around, and really getting clear and convicted about the things that take your mental bandwidth and just destroying them. Whether that's because something is taking too much of your time because you're rewriting it on your list 17 times and not doing it, whether it's something that shouldn't be there at all, whether you're not the right person to do it anymore, whether you're missing a skill or an insight or a strategy to make it work, whatever that is, make the change. Make the change. Get on top of it. So that's where urgency belongs. As soon as you can do something, do it, get it done. Get it off your list, get it off your plate, get it out of your brain so that you're freeing up bandwidth. Now, here's where people make a huge mistake. Instead of being urgent about the daily fundamentals that are actually going to get you to where you want to be, people have this massive sense of urgency about the outcomes, the big goals, the results that they want. Whether it's the bestseller list, whether it's a number that they have on Instagram, whether it's a revenue number, a profit number, a number of clients, achieving a specific goal. People have a huge sense of urgency about when they believe they need to be at those mile markers by. And I love big and fast. I love big and fast. But the thing that will ultimately make you successful as a CEO and business owner in the long term, getting to your goals, is having longevity. And longevity is about you being able to pace yourself for the long term to do something in enough quality and quantity to ultimately get to those big outcomes. So I could have an 11 out of 10 sense of urgency about wanting to build a $100 million company, which I do want to build a $100 million company, or I guess I'd call it an organization because it'll be multiple companies. I could have an 11 out of 10 sense of urgency about that today and kill myself to try and get there faster, get there faster, get there faster. But would I be doing the right things in the right order and in the right quality and quantity to get there? No. And where so much entrepreneurial burnout comes from is setting unrealistic goals in an arbitrary timeline that actually doesn't give you the quality and quantity of reps that are going to be needed to achieve that goal. So there's going to be a certain number of reps that are required to get good at hiring, to get good at promoting and leading at the next level, to get good at launching, to get good at master classes, to get good at building a team of people that can do consultations for you. We could go down, every single skill in the entrepreneurial space and look at it. And there's a certain number of reps. That's why they say, 10,000 hours to develop mastery of something. And for most of us, we're nowhere near 10,000 hours of mastery in anything that we're doing. Okay. And so you have to ask yourself, how do you need to give yourself space in the way that you set timelines around goals so that you set yourself up to be able to have the longevity needed to actually get to the goal? Because what happens so many times, and this is why we have in the entrepreneurial space a mental health crisis, we have drug and alcohol addiction, the divorce rate is higher than in the general population. There's so many issues in the entrepreneurial space because when your sense of urgency is an 11 out of 10 on an outcome, you tend to compromise and sacrifice everything else that stands in the way of that to get there as fast as possible. And usually that's the wrong thing, because if you do that, you will lose everything that matters to you on the path to getting to that goal, many times including your own mental and physical health, many times including the relationships that are actually the most important things in your life. So sense of urgency in your daily decision-making and execution is absolutely key to having high levels of success and being an elite performer. Someone that moves too slowly, someone that doesn't have purpose, someone that's just wandering, someone that's moseying along, are they going to have success in the market of today? No, they're not. I don't know anyone that behaves that way that's going to have success in this market. But on the flip side, when you look at your big goals and your big outcomes, your strategy has to set you up for the longevity to be able to stay in the game for long enough to get to that outcome. And the most important thing that you could do for yourself is to actually give yourself a longer runway and a longer timeline to accomplish bigger goals versus a shorter timeline that puts you in scramble, overwhelm, fear, and distress mode. And when you give yourself a longer timeline and you know exactly what you're working towards, but you're planning over a period of years how you're going to get there and you're reverse engineering into it, one, you have the mental state that's needed to accomplish far bigger things. You will be able to accomplish far bigger things if you take advantage of what they call the eighth wonder of the world. I think that's what Warren Buffett says, the eighth wonder of the world, which is, he says, compound interest. Compound time is very much the same. when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's like the eighth wonder of entrepreneurship, compound time, right? You doing something over time and incrementally improving as you go is going to be the biggest asset that you have. But why do so many people burn out before they ever scale up? Because they have urgency on the wrong things and they don't have the longevity to be able to get to their outcomes. So I hope this episode today is giving you a strong reframe that allows you to set even bigger goals. When you give yourself a longer timeline, you can achieve far greater things, and you can do it while feeling grounded, peaceful, joyful, and successful along the way. When you give yourself very short, arbitrary timelines, you immediately put yourself in that gap versus gain mentality where you feel like you're behind all the time. And there's almost a panic level of urgency to get there versus a strategic, measured, and controlled focus on high levels of urgency in execution versus this emotional, kind of feeling that we create that actually takes away from the impact and the outcome of the things that we're executing in. So I hope this reframe was powerful for you today. And I hope that you'll go back after today's episode and really think about how to use these two tools, but to use them differently in your business to set and achieve higher goals and to be grounded in your purpose, your focus, your North Star, while doing the right things with the right quality in the right quantity that are going to put you right where you want to be. So if you love this show today and you've been getting something of value out of it, do me a favor and head on over to Apple. And just before you leave me, if you could just put a quick rating and review there for the show, that is the number one way that people are going to see this show and realize that they need to come and hang out with us every single week listening to the Kelly Roach Show. So if you take the time to do that for me quickly, I would be so eternally grateful to you. I appreciate every single one of our listeners so much. Thanks for being here with me today. And we'll see you back here in just a couple of days.